Hey everybody, Jimmy Kukulski here, EV Racer. I am gonna do maybe a little bit longer video than usual, but it's basically a 50,000 mile review of my Model 3 Performance. And it's actually got almost 52,000 miles because I haven't had a lot of time to do any videos lately. I've been traveling back and forth from Michigan to Boulder because I've got an office out there. Anyway, long story short, I got 50K on it and I bought it in 1st of December. It was actually just after Thanksgiving. I went and got it that weekend and came back. So I'd say we're at 9-10 months, going on 10 months at least of straight driving. 50,000 miles. It's actually been a riot. I love this car. As you can see, I've got other vehicles that I can drive. That nice Super Duty back there is now for sale or will be very soon because I don't drive it at all. I am a big guy, 6'2", about 240, and I fit in this car very well. I actually have slept in it a few times on trips over to Boulder because it's about a 14-15 hour drive and I'll drive straight through the night, and the car has been absolutely phenomenal. I just downloaded V10 3211, so I have Netflix, YouTube, Hulu on my screen for when I'm charging. I'll be honest, I have got charging on a road trip down to a science. I stop and go to the bathroom and eat and let my dogs out only when I'm supercharging. Especially on routes that I take a lot from Grand Rapids to Boulder. I think I got 5 supercharging stops between those two. And I actually stagger one to go to Margaritas in Oolagaga, Nebraska, because I absolutely love that place. I get in there so I can eat those fried tortilla tacos that they have at that supercharger there in western Nebraska. Anyway, to get to the car, at 50,000 miles, I have one set of snow tires that are about half used up. I've got the OEM Michelin tires that are on it that come stock with a Performance. I'd say those are a little less than half. And if you've seen some of my other videos, I drift and have lots of fun in this car. I do not drive it lightly. I drive everything I have. Basically, the way I drive my Razors and my everything else. I like to go fast. I launch it 24 times a day or more. Hard, very, very hard. So I'm really impressed with the tires. The snow tires, the 18s, I know that you're supposed to put some wheels on with the brakes. I'm actually probably not going to run the 18s with the Performance brakes this winter because I did have a little bit of caliper to inside wheel touch, just a little, just scrape the paint off a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. I like it having a little more room, so I'm actually going to probably put winter tires on these 20s and then run light summer tires, either the carbon fiber or something like that for next summer. So look forward to that. I'm gonna spend some money on some wheels and tires, and I'm gonna get the carbon brakes as well. Just a free horsepower basically. Anyway, other than that little thing, that little contact, I believe it was in the front wheel, or no, the back wheel. Nothing else has actually been gone negatively for me augmenting the car. I am in the can, so we're reading PIDs, doing testing with traction control for the drag car setup. That's a lot of fun, very time consuming. We've had a couple of limp mode issues with connectivity, hacking a PID, but whenever you do something to an OEM system, especially one as complicated and as nebulous as in the Teslas, you're gonna run into some problems. So it wasn't too bad, but nothing actually caused by the car. I had a incident where somebody vandalized the car. It was just a joke, but they didn't realize that the charging port is plastic, and they put saran wrap around the car and stuck sticks and stuff in it, and actually torqued the charging port a little bit. So on our first supercharged back, that was in Wichita in January, we had trouble charging, but I was able to fix that temporarily, and Tesla replaced it for free. The first replacement actually had another issue. I fixed that myself, but decided I wanted Tesla to replace that if they wouldn't mind. And they actually replaced that one for free as well. So just make sure my dog isn't laying in something nasty. Anyway, so that's the only hardware part of the car that I've had any problems with, and that was really caused by vandalism, not by Tesla doing something wrong, right? The car has I've always been able to get past whatever challenges were there. Like the second charger that the mobile Tesla service person installed actually wouldn't remove completely. The actuator wouldn't come down when you push the button, so I'd have to manually release it. And I probably could have just shaved off a little bit of that locking mechanism and made it work. But I decided at the time the car had like 18,000 miles on it, and Tesla was fine replacing it. So I went to the Chicago, I believe it's Westmont, and had it serviced there. My experience at the service center was fantastic. I buy lots of new vehicles, so I have good experience going to the dealerships and having my stuff worked on. I have bought a lot of Ford vehicles from one local dealership, and they treat me really good. So the bar is very high for me when it comes to service. And so when I went, I actually had the first charger replaced at my house. They came out, it was fantastic. The second one took a little longer. The communication wasn't as good as I would be used to maybe at the Ford dealership locally. But to be honest, that was through the most rough period, I believe, that Tesla had with service. They had all these Model 3s just come in onto the market, and it was just really a communication issue. It wasn't anything that had to do with the car, and they got it worked out within a week of that. The car wasn't down. If it had been, I mean, I've got other vehicles I drive. Some people aren't like that, but in the end, I was able to get to the service center. I pulled right in. They have a nice area for you to sit. I was there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. They tested everything out, made sure everything was updated, and I was out the door relatively quickly. So it was actually a faster service than when the guy came out to fix it here in my driveway. So it was really the only hardware problem. Software-wise, as everybody knows, V10's out now. I have the V10 3211, I believe it is. So I've got the latest update of that with Hulu and YouTube and Netflix, which should be cool. When we go back to the supercharging thing, I don't really spend a lot of time at superchargers because I plan everything out really well, but it will give me some things to do. I mean, I have set up my LTE iPad Pro and watched some Star Trek and stuff sometimes, especially late at night when I probably should take a nap. It'll be nice to be able to have that option. So if you don't have V10 yet, it is super cool. I have tested it out in my parking lot over here, and my dogs will jump in front of the car and it's not gonna hit them. It's a little more hesitant maybe than I'd like it to be, but it has to be. You know, we can't have our cars hitting random pedestrians in parking lots and stuff like that. So I'm super stoked. Some of the software on the navigation, autopilot has changed, so lane changing, it identifies where you're going, changes the color of lanes. And since the screen is off to your right, it's really nice. You can pick up some of that with your peripheral vision a little better. I drive in and out of traffic when there's slow traffic, like in Chicago on I-80, and I can see on my periphery where the car is going a little bit better. I love that update. I don't know if you've tried it yet, the people with V10, but you can actually touch the screen and drag to get different perspectives on the autopilot screen. So that's really cool. I mean, I don't know how much use that is, but it is kind of a neat thing to be able to do. Let's say with software, I've only had to reset my software with the buttons on the wheel 3 times. One of that was the charging issue. The second time was the screen went black just once in 50,000 miles. And the third time was the charging issue again. So when the charge port was messed up, I had to try to reset that. I was just giving it a shot, and it really didn't do much. So anyway, Tesla fixed that, isn't a problem. But anyway, we go back forward. Other than that, really had a ton of luck with this car in 50,000 miles. I love driving it. It's a lot of fun. It's brought the joy of driving back. I used to drive a lot on purpose when I really didn't need to. And that kind of died off. You know, I have a lot of fast cars and I have lots of fun and lots of horsepower. And I don't know, I just started to get old. I started to fly more often when I didn't really need to, and looking for private jet service because my dogs can go on me sometimes with that. And once I got this, I gave up. No more Jet Smarter. I mean, I'll fly Delta if I have to over 16, 20 hours, but I'll drive to California in this thing from Michigan. I've got zero hesitation. I was talking to a guy that's in the industry, and he was really stoked to see somebody that had almost no apprehension of driving anywhere, planned out properly. And I know there's a lot of us out there that love these cars. Some of us are early adopters, and we understand what we're getting into when you say that word and get into the early adopter culture. Some of us are just replacing these cars, and with an EV over an ICE, and that's awesome. I don't think any of us have anything to be afraid of with this transition, and I think it's an amazing car. Hopefully in another 8-10 months, you'll see me at 100,000 miles. I'm definitely in the top 20 or 30 for miles on the Model 3. And I think everybody else that has a ton of miles on their car has the same experience as I had. So just to round everything up, 51 going on 52,000 miles, 2 sets of tires. Neither of those sets are actually wore out. They're about half or a little more than half used up. So I could probably get to 100,000 miles if I squeezed every mile out of these tires, but I'm not gonna. I'm actually gonna replace these with, on these 20s with snow tires, and then go to 20s or 19s in the summer, some ultralight wheels for the track. So awesome. Alignment issues, nothing. I've hit lots of bumps. I don't have any cracked wheels. I got one little bump in my tire from a pothole, but I just kept driving it, and it's not out of balance or anything. Car performs fantastically in any weather. I think that anybody that buys one of these cars isn't just gonna be pleased. I think they're gonna be ecstatic, unless you get a lemon for some reason. And we hear lots of those stories. People complaining about a little bit of rubbing in the internals on the A-pillar or something like that, or it's rusting, or the front of the tire throwing up contamination and debris and hitting the fender and that whatnot. That truck right there has 100,000 miles on it in 2 years, and it has probably far more paint defects than my Model 3. And it probably had more paint defects than my Model 3 had when it was new as well. I mean, paint on aluminum and new types of paint and new types of manufacturing processes, they don't make paint like they used to. Yeah, they could probably double the time on one of these, but they're trying to manufacture these quickly and affordably so they can get them out the door to the customer. And so I have, when I've got an $85,000 or $80,000 Super Duty that has similar paint issues, my tolerance is pretty high. So anyway, I friggin' love the car. It's fantastic. Please, if you have any questions about my 50,000 miles of driving on this thing, just ask the question below, and I'll be happy to get back to you. Have a great day. I'm gonna get some work done and hopefully get some 3D printed parts out, and we're good to go. Thank you.